Hey everybody, this is Drew and JC here with Sasquatchers. We are welcoming a really cool guest who is local to our area, and I always am excited to talk about local research because that's what this show was originally intended to be about. And I'm going to introduce him, as always, after the very loud new ska intro.
Woo! Drew and John on the airwaves, seeking mysteries that can't be explained. Sasquatchers chasing shadows in the night. In the realm of the paranormal they ignite. Sasquatchers, podcast pioneers, unveiling the unknown with curious ears. From specters to Bigfoot, they dig deep. Sasquatchers on a quest that's unique.
Cool. And that just cuts right off there
Yeah,
unexpectedly, doesn't it?
I like it.
My favorite part of the new intro is how JC has a new snide comment about it every single episode. It's been every one so far. I can't wait to see what the next one brings.
Find out on Friday.
So we are here tonight with a local researcher. His name is Brian. I'm going to let him finish the introduction and tell a little more to you about himself, and then, as always, we'll get into the thick of the conversation.
So yeah, good evening, guys. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, so basically, I could say like my journey into all this craziness, right? When I was, I grew up in the '70s, and I was into all the UFO magazines, documentaries, Bigfoot documentaries, especially. We had In Search of, we had, Foggy Creek. You guys probably grew up watching all those too. $6 Million Man versus Bigfoot, right? So I was always interested in all that.
Foggy Creek
Outer
in
space.
particular.
Yeah. Yeah, monsters. I'm still a big monster Godzilla geek, if people know me. It's Godzilla.
Of course.
And so when I met my wife, we found out that we both had an interest in the paranormal. So we were married in '85, formed our first group in 1986, which is an acronym CUE, Center for Unexplained Events. And we started that with our son Sean. We started that for basically to make it a clearinghouse for everything unexplained, not just Bigfoot, UFOs, and anything, Bermuda Triangle, time slips, everything, different kind of creatures. And so we started to build our library, which we call the S Files, based on the X Files.
Nice.
Ours is the S Files, and through the years we've had it since '86, and it keeps on getting bigger. We have a lot of longtime researchers in the field. Actually, a lot of stuff. We have a good friend, Steve Ward, who just brought us a box of a bunch of old UFO magazines and things like that. Hard to get stuff. So, we're using that Q, an acronym, and we still have Q. We still use it. But in 2012, we also brought a new group, which is CCS, and that's Center for Cryptozoological Studies. We brought that group in because we felt we weren't getting the reports, all the cryptid reports, Bigfoot, Mothman, Chupacabra, whatever Dogman, winged entities. So we got we have a logo for that. We brought that out in 2012, and you can actually probably see the logo right here. It's it's on my shirt.
Yes.
So we research everything. We research all the cryptids that we can. We lived in Pennsylvania for most of our lives. 2.5 years ago, we moved down here to Weirton, West Virginia, and if you guys know where that is, it's sandwiched between Ohio and Pennsylvania. And we always like to say, if you look at that little sliver in between Ohio and PA, we always joke that we're on the tip of the middle finger of West Virginia. Hancock County, the smallest county in West Virginia.
Yeah, very cool. So when you were younger, other than just kind of watching In Search of with what was that? Spock was on that show?
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Other than, kind of watching that stuff, did you have any encounters or events that brought you
No,
to that? Or just no, just that
no. Back
interest?
then, it was strictly just collecting the UFO magazines and watching every single thing I could. We had some buddies that were interested in it. We talk about it and watch everything, but no, growing up, no encounters. We would go into the woods by us. We had a couple patches of woods by us, and we would go in there and say, hey, could there possibly be a Bigfoot there? And there wasn't. We grew up in Hopewell, Beaver County, both my wife and I actually. So
Yeah. Trying to place where that is off the top of my head, actually. In
what?
relation to Pittsburgh, like what side would that
Oh,
be?
it's Beaver County is next to Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is. So we grew up about 20 minutes from the Pittsburgh airport.
Okay.
You guys know where that is, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm interested because you said you started this group in '86, which was
Yeah.
actually before I was born, and a couple of
Mhm.
years even before, like than JC, who's just a couple of years younger than me. Um, we talked to a lot of ghost hunters about the differences between investigating today with technology and stuff, but I
Mhm.
haven't really been able to ask somebody who's into cryptozoology and things of that nature the same question. So considering you've been doing this since 70s 80s, um, what has changed for you in that 30 to 40-year period, and is there anything that you feel maybe was better back then compared to the research tactics that are employed now?
Well, I think we also do some paranormal investigating. We did a lot more 7 or 8 years ago. We don't do as much now, but I think some of the techniques we're trying to move over into cryptozoology is we are trying to. So let's say take Bigfoot, and I saw that your intro had the woo, right? So
Yeah,
what we're trying to do is we do bring we'll bring an EMF meter, tri-field meter. We'll bring them out in the woods, and as we're walking, we do have these on, use them. Um, the premise being, especially with the tri-field with the magnetic, if if these creatures, some of them, if they may be an interdimensional type creature, and I'm not saying they are, okay, then possibly I feel maybe they may need some kind of an energy, or if they can somehow cross over, maybe we can catch that on some of our equipment. We've used infrared. We've used what do you call it? The camera with full spectrum camera. We've used that out in the woods. So we've done a couple things like that. We've used frequency to maybe possibly maybe bring these creatures in. So we're never been afraid to try different tactics. We do dog whistles, things like that. High frequency whistles, things like that. So we feel that uh, try everything. And our group has always been like that. Our circle of friends are like that too. They're not just strict, hey, let's go out for Bigfoot and let's beat on a tree like Bobo and do a couple howls and that's our Bigfoot thing. Now we like to try different approaches, and I think everybody should do that. We've done some other couple little things that we don't say what we do. Maybe they're even more farther off, but um, I think people should always try to do different things when they research, because the worst that can happen is nothing, right?
Yeah, I
And we're getting
love that.
pretty good at not getting evidence, so we're right on track.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that. I was planning to do some Bigfoot research out in the field next month, and I'm not 100% certain if that trip is going to work out the way we had originally intended. But I had come up with a lot of like woo type things. Um, just got distracted for a second. I've things to investigate the woo. For instance, I had asked several people if they had ever known anybody to use a spirit box while trying to do a Bigfoot investigation. And I have not heard yet of anybody doing that approach. So that was something that I was going to try to spearhead and kind of take those same methods in the of the paranormal and bring it over to the realm of Bigfoot. And one person in particular kind of looked at me like I was crazy and was like, Drew, you don't know what's out there in the woods. Like, you could be messing with some serious stuff. But I mean, in my opinion, that's kind of the exploration part of the game, going out there and seeing what you can stir up with it. And maybe it is a Sasquatch, or maybe it might be an elemental, who knows. But
Yeah,
I've not seen that technique done yet, but I'm very curious about crossing over with the techniques of research from paranormal into the cryptozoological.
exactly. And actually, like, why not? What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
Unless you anger a Sasquatch and you get killed or ripped apart, but that's a chance to take, right?
Yeah.
But you
Take
got
that
to,
chance every time I leave my house.
yeah, exactly. So that we've been doing it so long, and we're more towards that. We see that light at the end of the tunnel right now about when it'll all end, and so yeah, we'll try just about anything. You, why not? I mean, you may like us, you may not want to put everything out there what you do because this, as the Sasquatch field, it is very competitive. It's very judgmental. I don't have to
Yeah.
tell you guys this. I
Yeah,
mean,
you could.
people are fighting all the time. This person doesn't like that time. We get involved in it too, whether we want to or not. And it's just, if we would from the very beginning when we started this, my wife and I, we really thought very naively that, hey, we're a small segment of people. To even take all the fields you have, back when we started it in '86, it was even smaller. We figured, hey, I think everyone's going to get along because everyone thinks we're crazy, right? So uh, we're all going to get along and share. And boy, I mean, for the most part around here, we do, you know, southwestern, eastern Ohio, now at the tip of West Virginia. We have a big, strong core of researchers that we work with. We really do. But you'll never get along with everybody, and there'll always be egos, and that's part of it. And I'm not telling you guys anything you guys don't already know.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's actually more prevalent in this community than some of the other ones that I've been a part of. I spent a little bit of time in professional wrestling, and everybody always kind of considers that to be like the epicenter for egos and toxic behavior and politicking and just all kinds of uh, that doesn't work for me, brother, kind of stuff. And the paranormal community has shocked me at how uh, kindergarten pro wrestling was compared to some of the antics that I've seen here in this field. And it's sometimes it's pretty disheartening. A lot of times you just have to sit back and be entertained by it. And you're right with the television shows and stuff. It's just it kind of breeds a certain attitude, and just as a real researcher looking for real evidence and real data, it's a minefield of all of that other stuff that you got to step through. So to do what you're doing, I think is and not only respectable and commendable, but I think at times I would say that the word brave might be an apt thing to say.
We never consider ourselves brave or anything more than just, passionate group that wants to find answers. Uh, we're trying, man. We're not finding, man. We're not finding, but that's all we are. We're just regular, ordinary people. We got our jobs to do, and in our spare time, this is what we do. And never consider ourselves brave. Uh, just it's a passion. I mean, we spend a lot of time not just you know uh, collecting the material, talking to the eyewitnesses, going out in the field as much as we can. We're older now, and we moved down here, and we're still doing things with our house. So we're actually trying to. We have a creek right behind our house, and we're making a meditation area back there. So yeah, we try to get out as much as we can, and we do hold these conferences and these get-togethers to try to get the reports. And then we try to network with people. Hey, do you need this? Or you need this piece of info or something like that. And, um, it has been a blast. It's been a long journey, and we're not quite done yet, but we're getting closer.
Uh, Tell us about the conferences. I'm always interested in these because somewhere in the back of my mind, I have one ready to go, and I have no idea how to do it. I have no idea how to gain the resources. I just know that in my head, I have just a killer conference that I want to put on under the Sasquatchers brand. And I see so many successful conferences and conventions, and people, tend to have a good time, and everybody gets along. It doesn't seem like people are really competitive about it. When did you start doing your conferences?
Oh, I think my wife says that when we got with Dan, I think it was 2007, and that was our first one. We both pulled some resources and cash, and he lives up in Butler, and he got the Tanglewood, and every year, it's increasingly gotten bigger, and um, you have to get your see what we usually do for most of the stuff that we promote or we co-promote. We co-promote Butler. Okay, it's Dan's conference, but we help them out and co-promote. You have to get speakers. Okay, you got to get vendors in. You got to pay for the hall is the main thing. Unless like the one we're doing this coming Saturday at Brook Hills, or my friend Fred Saluga approached them and says, "Hey, would you guys want to do a conference here?" Basically, it was an old foundation, and they built an old like a barn around it. The barn's about 50 years old. It's like a theater style up there. It's a theater, a stage, and they call it
Oh,
the
nice.
playhouse. And they call it the playhouse, yeah. And so we said, we'll tell you what, you don't charge us. We'll try to get you vendors. It'll be a free event. We do try to promote like Butler, where you have to pay. Uh, this one is free. We've done a couple other ones in Ohio, in PA, and we try either to make it as low cost as possible, mainly free. Now that also means though, when you're doing free things, you're not getting your upper, you're not getting your TV personalities. You're not getting a bunch of people who, hey, we know this guy. He was on TV. We got to get him. Those guys, they cost. And we have brought some bigger names in to Butler. The ones down here, they're gonna be free. So we're not. I'm not gonna mention some of the big names up there. You guys know them. We can't afford them. We're not gonna bring them in. That's just not how we personally operate. There's other conferences that can bring in, uh, they can bring in some of these big guests. We just can't afford it. Um, so, and my cat just jumped up here. You want to get in the ball too? Huh? My cat Callie.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we love animals. We always have our dogs and stuff.
looky. You want to say hi? Say hi. You can't hold her though. But so that's what we do. I mean, you got to have a good venue and a lot of promoting, as much free promoting. You got Facebook, social media. Uh, And the thing is once you get vendors, we try to start them in real low. We don't try to, we're not going to charge you 50, $60 for a table. And you start them low, and they come in, and then they help you promote because they want people to come to buy their wares. So, um, yeah, people think it's not easy. Like us, we're doing our first one here Saturday. My mind's already thinking 2 conferences ahead. Believe it or not, I'm thinking who we're going to try to bring in and ask. And my wife says, "Let's get through this one." My wife Terry, let's get through this conference first. She's my Scully. I'm the Mulder. She's Scully. Let's
Yeah.
get this one over with first before we think about the next one. I try to set us up, and we try to sequence the people. We try to do paranormal conferences. Okay, we don't stick with just Bigfoot. You do the paranormal conferences, you can get the UFO people, the ghost people, and I've always liked those conferences better because when you're getting Bigfoot, you're going to have people talk about Bigfoot. We want to have people come in talk about Mothman, UFOs, ghosts, anything. So those are always more of our favorites. Now we do a local one down here, Tomlinson Run, and it's a Bigfoot day, and we get myself and Fred and 2 other guests, and we speak for like 4 hours. It's like 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and this will be our 3rd year. That's July 13th. So, but yeah, doing the conferences, it can be strenuous, especially the day of. You know, I have a lot to do work for Saturday, and I'm kind of behind. So I'll be working
Oh,
hard.
procrastinating
We're
is the
always
way.
behind.
So good luck though. If you guys ever put one, I mean, we'll share it. And where would it be held at?
My house.
Yeah. I have something in mind, and it's a friend of mine's dad owns all of this real estate and stuff. And I just have like this crazy idea to try to become a business partner with him, and just be like, you know what? Let us use the building, and 80/20, you take 80%. And I just want to be able to say that I had this goal and I accomplished it, and I want to like build on it. And I always here's the thing, like, we're recording right now. We're not doing a live show because
Okay.
I don't like live shows. I don't like watching YouTubers take advantage of guests. I don't like monetization and profitizing off of a conversation that you took your time to have
Mhm.
with us. So that's not my bag. I don't really care for it. Right now, I have all of our merchandise. We have a Printify shop. Every single thing on that shop is at 0% profit, so that anyone who wants our stuff can get it, and it's the cheapest items currently on Printify because of it. So,
Cool.
like, I am 100% about the research, about the community coming together. So I don't really have any dollar signs in my head right now. For me, it's
Yeah.
about setting these goals. And we made a film in January, and it's a documentary about the melonheads of Ohio. And
Oh, okay.
one of the goals that I have for that is to try and tour some conventions with it and do like a Q&A or something. It's a 47-minute, very digestible documentary.
Mhm.
So that's something that I've been thinking about, trying to reach out to some people who have these conferences, about setting something up. In stand-up comedy, podcasts like these, they tour and do live recordings all the
Hmm.
time. I've yet to see that in the paranormal realm. So that's another thing that I would love to see, like a Sasquatchers live recording,
Oh, it'd be great.
and at a
I'm
convention.
I'm hilarious too, so
And
like it would be.
Yeah, I could, I,
he
I could talk to Dan too, and we can maybe keep you in mind for even maybe our event next year.
Yeah,
So
that would be sick. I wasn't even really fishing for that. I'm just kind of like, I love what you guys are doing with these conventions, and I like that everybody, at least on the surface, is getting along. And the other day, what I thought was hilarious was scrolling, and every other every other post you'd see like Bill Rigby, and he's taking a picture of somebody
Yeah,
at the Butler
was
conference and
yeah.
was
telling them to
all
get
over
off of
my
their
Facebook.
phone.
Oh, that's
And
Yeah.
like a big family up there. We've been doing it so long, and we have a lot of core people that come to that. And my wife and I spoke we've had 16 conferences. We only spoke twice. And Dan's, I think, only spoke twice. We kind of says, hey, we want to bring other guest speakers in. Now, there are some guys out there, they want to talk every conference. And, believe it or not, guys, you want variety. You don't want to keep getting the same people back if you can. No matter how much they may want it, because, there's so many people out there with good stories and good research that people want to see. I know, like after Saturday, I'm going. My wife and we're going to sit down, and along with Fred Saluga. I don't know if you know him or know about him, and he uh, he helps us and he works with us, and he actually has gotten, was specifically him that got some of these events going. So we'll sit down with him and we'll go over. Okay, I got a list of six or eight people. We want to do 5 guest speakers. Who do we want? We want, we don't want all Bigfoot people. Let's get a ghost people. Like so coming up, we have Fred and I talking about Bigfoot, and then we have another guy talking about Bigfoot. We have 2 Bigfooters. We got a guy, John Ventry, talking about UFOs. Our friend Leah's talking about ghosts, and then we have a gentleman talking about giants. So we got a nice kind of little dichotomy there of different things. So
Yeah, that's an interesting group for sure. I like that inclusion of giants there because there's a lot of new evidence that keeps popping up here and there for giants and their existence. So I think that's cool that is included in that.
Contact him. His name is Robert Solomon, and
Okay.
I'm sure if you would want him, I'm sure he'd come on your show to talk about it. He gives excellent presentations, guys. So
it's a topic you don't hear very much about, so we would
exactly,
Yeah.
and
interested in.
just like you guys with the melon heads. Oh, I've read about that legend for years. I would love to sit there and either like hear you guys talk about it or either watch it. Is it on YouTube or no?
It is on YouTube.
It's
free.
on our.
Yep.
It's completely free on our channel.
I've got to watch that because I always thought
Best-
that was such a cool.
funniest thing, and I think I've only mentioned this one time on another podcast before we even had the documentary come out, but it was like one of the first cryptids that I heard about, like outside of Mothman and Bigfoot and aliens, stuff like that, was the melon heads. And I found out through the weirdUSA.com website back in the day. When I was in high school, and I grew up and I finally moved out here to the Cleveland area, and I'm sitting here one day and I say to Drew, I'm like, Drew, I live 10 minutes away from Kirtland where the melon heads are. Yeah, it's like right over here. And I'm like, it's be dumb to not do anything. So in between snowstorms in January, Drew drives out for one night, and we went out in the woods and filmed this, and we went to a cemetery, and it was a fun time.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? Now I got to watch it, guys. I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it too. It's on our YouTube, and like everything else we do, it's absolutely free. I hated the idea. I'm editing this thing. We shot it. It was super quick. We shot it. I edited it in less than 2 weeks. It was like the fastest production I've ever worked on because of how excited I was, and just the idea of like putting it behind a paywall on Amazon or something just felt icky to me. Like I didn't make it for that. I made it to tell this story and share this honestly kind of bygone story. People don't really talk about them anymore, and it's kind of fading away into obscurity. So that's something like we're proponents of. We want to try to, like that giant presentation, we want to grab those interesting things that are kind of being lost in the shuffle and highlight those.
Exactly. So we did that up in Mercer County. We actually lived in Mercer County, my wife and I, for 3 years in Grove City. And when we lived there, we had heard about this cryptid called the Shenango Valley werewolf. And I don't know if people have ever talked about it or whatever. We did some research in it, and long story short, there's a long story in it. But so we were at a conference, and we said, look, up in Mercer, hey, we're looking for reports of the Shenango Valley werewolf. So this lady came, and She says, well, you talking about the dog boy? He said, no, we're talking about Shenango Valley Werewolf. She goes, well, I saw the dog boy. So she drew it for us, and that started this search into up there. We were given presentations. People were coming up to us. So, and again, to make a long story short, we ended up, through years of research, we ended up finding that we believe this so-called Shenango Valley dog boy was just a boy, a malformed boy. He had hands that looked like cloves. He had this bad eye condition, a red eye, droopy red eye, and he had hair all over him. We believe he had, which is called hypertrichosis, commonly called
Right.
werewolf syndrome. And we believe we kind of closed the case on that. It's kind of weird. We actually really helped bring it to the public. Some people knew about it up there, and this was in like 56, 58. And then and he eventually, we believe, again through a bunch of things, we believe that he moved to Erie, up to Erie, PA, and that's where he lived, and he eventually passed away. So we believe we actually like kind of brought the help to bring the original story was in Linda Godfrey's book, I'm the American Werewolf, is where we found out about it. I actually
Okay.
talked to Jason, who brought the story to Linda, who we expanded on it. And even down here, we live outside of Weirton, West Virginia, and our friend Fred was researching something called the Beast of Bell Hill. Now, Bell Hill Road is probably only 5 miles from our house, okay, down that way. And there was legends of it. When we moved down here, I posted, and I am from Weirton on Facebook. We do get a lot of stuff. If you post your local places, like where you live, they'll have I am from Weirton or I am from Cortland. Post that. I want information on the melonheads, and then you'll see people will come on. So another long story short, because I don't want to bore you guys, we ended up getting an eyewitness for that this it was a Bigfoot, what he saw, and it actually chased him. And we have that. We were able to get it through Small Town Monsters. I'm sure you heard about Small Town Monsters, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Yep.
it's called Sasquatch Unearthed, Mountain State Sasquatch in West Virginia, and our episode was Season of the Sasquatch. So if you guys watch it, his interview's on there, and we were so grateful to bring, for the city of Weirton and for the people who knew about this to get an actual eyewitness out of it, and we were proud that through Small Town Monsters we were able to do that. Like you said, there's an old legend there. Let's bring it. And this was actually, not just legend. Something, there was animal mutilations. Something broke into a barn and ate all this grain. There was a part of a dead deer up on a tree. So there was a
Oh, wow.
weird, screams. This is in the early to mid 80s. So, and ironically, we were at we were eating supper with my friend Steve the night before our conference, and some guy came up to me and he says, "Hey, are you the Bigfoot guy down here?" I'm like, "Well, I'm one of them." So he says, "I've been hearing strange screams. I've got this audio." So he sent it to us, and this is really close to our house too, which is pretty cool. That it sounds like this grunt, and then a creepy as hell, like I mean, it was like I said, okay, I got to come down next week because again, this was like last Friday, so I says I got to come down next week, and maybe you can show me around. So uh, that's how you end up getting. You do end up getting the word out. The more of these conferences you go to and you post, and you got to show people that you're there, and it's a process, but it's going to take long down here in West Virginia because a lot of these people don't want to talk. They really don't want to talk.
I find that interesting because I feel like in like Appalachia, there's definitely a superstition about this kind of stuff, but there's also like a really deep history. We just talked about this maybe last episode about this deep history that kind of exists in this area that stretches from Pennsylvania down through Tennessee and all of the Virginias and stuff that is just so rich in paranormal
Oh
and
yeah, you've got Mothman, you got Sheep Squatch, you got Flying Manta Rays down here, you got the Grafton
Mhm.
Monster, the Flatwoods Monster, and it
yeah.
goes on and on. West Virginia is just it's just a treasure trove of cryptids, and they are starting to really. I mean, the Mothman Festival for years, Jeff Wamsley single-handedly has uh, you know, brought, the Mothman back into the culture, and he's revitalizing the whole town, is what he is. Now you have
Yep.
Grafton Monster Festivals, Flatwood Monster Festivals, getting huge down here now.
Oh, there's all kinds of festivals in West Virginia anymore. I mean, just alone last year I saw like 7 or 8 being advertised on Facebook.
Exactly. There's so many. I mean, it's like wow, you know.
Yeah, they're pretty prevalent here in my area of Pennsylvania too. I keep seeing them, which is really cool. You had mentioned that werewolf um, story there, and it kind of jarred a memory for me that in Cambria County, and at the time of these occurrences, I wasn't really paying attention to the paranormal. I checked out for a long time. After Art Bell died, I felt like
Yeah,
there
he was.
was
Yeah.
for me, there was just kind of a disconnect because I did very briefly when he was running Midnight in the Desert. I did work as a contributor to Dark Matter News Network, and so like I was
Oh, okay.
very deep into it at that point around 2015, and then he obviously left the show, gave it to Heather, and all of that kind of crap storm existed, and then unfortunately he passed. But I felt like there was an interim where all paranormal research kind of veered into what we see with Zach Baggins, right? And I dunk on him all the time, and I'm never gonna stop dunking on him. But there's like this, it turned into TV sensationalism and not much else. And when I finally got back into this world and decided to, give JC a call and get Sasquatchers up and running, I found researchers that I had been sleeping on, essentially, that I wish I was paying closer attention sooner because uh, there was a lot of stuff going on that I was missing out on. And so in Cambria County in, I guess, 2017, 2018, I'm talking like Evansburg, all the way over to Indiana County. There were dogman sightings.
Mm.
And I'm looking into this now just because I'm trying to play catch up on it. But this is also like, it's my backyard. Like, this is where I live. And how did this get past me? And, what can I contribute to the conversation being a local boots on the ground investigator? And it during the course of this, a park ranger had reached out to a group that I'm in, and it's a Bigfoot group, and he had warned about some people that he stopped who looked very suspicious. So he stopped them, he started to interrogate them. They weren't up to anything illegal, but they admitted to him that they were out there hoaxing Bigfoot evidence, and they showed
Oh,
him.
I heard about that.
Yeah, they
Chestnut
showed.
Ridge, right?
Yeah, yeah. They showed him all the stuff that they were using as far as tools, and that they would go into groups and post about it to get people to go out and look, and then they would know that there were researchers out there, and then they would go out and mess with them. So I guess that leads me to a question for you, who has been a boots on the ground investigator, and you're taking. Um, I guess what you're doing is you're taking from people's experiences who are reaching out and then kind of checking on things. Like, what
Yeah.
do you do to kind of stop block and prevent falling for potential hoaxes or things that are kind of like nefarious or trolling?
We so what we do is when we get a report, we we talk with the eyewitness and we ask them, could you take us to this area? We did about a couple months ago when we have a state park close to us called Tomlinson Run State Park, and there's allegedly been some activity, some screams, some things like that. Well, this one gentleman was telling us he went on this one trail, in which actually this trail overlooks a Boy Scout camp. And there's allegedly some of the boys, they've seen some kind of an ape-like creature up on the hill. And so this happened a couple years ago, and he said he was hiking this area, and he just felt really like there was something wrong. He was a former military person too. He says he felt like there was something watching. He said he didn't see anything or hear anything, but he said he's never felt as uncomfortable as he did that time in the woods. So we meet up with him, and then we'll go out with him, and then we'll post. Later on, we will post findings and things like that. But we won't say, "Hey, you know, we're going right now to Thomas and Run on this trail to check out." No, we will post it afterwards. And if we get a hint that we think, like if we suspiciously find this perfect print or something in the middle of the, we're gonna throw up red flags. We're not gonna like give them any. We're gonna do the best we can to. I don't use. I hate to use the word debunk. Okay, I don't like to use it. Um, I just say, we like to see if it's real. Now, some people, that's debunking. I'm like, well, debunking can also have this total negative term. So I'm just thinking, we're out there to see if there is something real to this, and then we may post it. And other times we don't post anything. So um, the reports that we get, I can honestly, we did one report. This was like years ago when I was in the PA Bigfoot Society. That this kid said he saw this Bigfoot in the yard. This was in Newcastle, up around Newcastle, not in the city, outskirts of Newcastle and outskirts of Cascade Park. So he said, yeah, there was this Bigfoot. He was a younger kid. And just the way, my friends told me there was, my friends told me there was one in this yard, and I want to be a monsterologist, is what he said. And this is over 10, 12, 14 years ago. And it was just certain things that added up. Where like, we think his friends hoaxed him, that there was this, now we didn't find anything, obviously, but we think it was a hoax. And something we rarely even talk about because we went up there. But yeah, I want to be a monsterologist. Young kid, maybe, I don't know, maybe 13. We got his parents' permission. Can we come up and meet? And I think his dad was with him. And his dad was kind of chuckling too, like, you know. But yeah, so I mean, again, we do our best not to fall for things like that. And I will say that, most most of the time we will have people fill out a long form, 45 question form. We'll talk to them. We'll try to meet with them, and then we'll go over the form, and then we'll try to go to these areas. Hey, how far were you? Blah blah. The things that other researchers do, and so we do try to mitigate the what the hoaxing. Like when we were with the PA Bigfoot Society, back then we were up on the Chestnut Ridge a lot, and the times we were up there, we found what could have been two prints, one 7 inches and one 14, one each, just one each, because the other there was no. And a gentleman with us, Denny, he casted them. And one other time somebody found something, but as far as like back then, when you went out, you didn't really find a lot. So maybe that's why some of these people that still do good work up there, and we don't go to Ridge anymore. We're down here, and we haven't been up there for years. But it just angers you that there's people up there trying to do their best, taking this seriously, and then there's idiots trying to hoax them. Why? You don't have nothing else better to do with your life. These people are, they're committed to what they're doing. They're trying to find real evidence, and that says a lot about you, I think. Ha ha ha! We just fooled these Bigfooters. It's like, how would these people like? How would they like if, let's say, whatever their passion is, let's say it's auto racing or whatever, and you hoaxed them about that, or you told them lies about that? Don't you think they would get upset?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I have been sitting on for a while with this. Like ever since I saw that post, I have been kicking around this idea in my head to do a documentary called like Catching Bigfoot or something like that. And essentially throwing information out to lure hoaxers into an area so that they would go out, and I would have trail cams kind of set up, and the idea being that we would essentially catfish hoaxers and catch them in the act and kind of shame them on camera. And that might be something that we end up doing this year. But I mean, I think that's kind of the only thing that you could do with them, and
Yeah.
uh, like shame them in the act, and call them out, and send them on their way, and maybe they'll cut it out. But to me, I think that's an area of this research that has never kind of been explored in that manner, so to speak.
Yeah, it
And
hasn't.
I
It hasn't. Because some
think,
people might say, "Hey, you're just giving power and credence to these people." You know, um, so it's just it is a real shame that there are people that do that, and you know, we all try. We try the best. We all have different skill sets, and most of us aren't making big money to be out there. We spend our money and our hours and our time trying to see what's into these mysteries, and somebody does that. It's like, wow, guys, that's telling me a lot about you guys that I don't want to know.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we catch them and something happens, and the bear mace accidentally goes off. Like
Yeah.
something completely totally accidental that can't be proven in a court of law. Yeah,
Well,
but
there was
yeah,
like hoaxers. Now, years back, I think it was out west. There was a gentleman or a young teenager that was wearing a Bigfoot suit, and he ran across the road and he got hit and killed. So,
Mhm.
you know, if you let's say some of these teenagers they want to do a prank on Farmer Joe, right? And I'm gonna wear a Bigfoot suit. I'm gonna run across his yard. Well, Farmer Joe's gonna, well, especially down here, they'll shoot your ass. I mean, they'll just
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't mess around down
You
here.
know,
So,
that remi- oh,
you,
I'm
you,
sorry.
you shoot somebody, and they get killed because they're trying to hoax you. I mean, some people just don't think of this. So you're running. Let's say you've got a Bigfoot costume. Here comes a car. You start to run. You slip or fall, and this car accidentally hits you and kills you. I
Whoops.
mean, you're gonna die just to hoax somebody running across the road?
Heck
Wow.
yeah. No, this reminds me, and I'm glad that this reminded me because this is a topic we were going to talk about and we never got to. But in northern Wisconsin, there is a cult that worships Bigfoot as like a religion.
Huh. I did not know that.
And there's only that's because there's only a few people in it and they're all insane. Um, but whenever this guy, like, they have their rituals out in the woods and they put on these big fur outfits made of like random animal fur and stuff, and when they do this, the police have to put out public warnings: please do not shoot these people.
Oh, wow.
If you
I did not
see
know that.
them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well, I'm not
forget
too
the
funny
name of
for
the
getting
cult,
shot, but
but
yeah.
I can't
but that's a
remember.
real thing.
Was that cult the one with the guy that claimed to be Norwegian, or is that a different weird
No,
Bigfoot cult?
that's a different guy. This is the cult that the Bigfoot, they just want to have sex with Bigfoot is what it is.
Oh
There.
boy.
That's
Hey,
that's basically
to each your own, right? Like,
that's basically the culmination of the cult. Like, that's their main belief.
but yeah, man, every community has a little crazy in it, and
I guess.
that's
Sure.
the Jim Jones Kool-Aid equivalent of
Yeah,
the,
really.
the Bigfoot community. But I'm curious. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Bigfoot. Have you ever printed any casts that you feel are like completely authentic? And what's your casting process, if so? We talked to Jeffrey Meldrum on this show, and it was really fun and informative. And I took a lot of information away from it that I hope to use in the field myself. And kind of the instructions that he gave me for casting, I never would have even thought of. So anytime that I can get information from someone who's been doing it, I like to ask.
We've actually never casted what I would
No?
call us personally a Bigfoot. Uh, when we were down Beaver Creek State Park, we were staying at the camp at the group camp. So we went up this it's called Hambleton's Mill. We went next to it, and there's this big muddy patch there. And we got out of the woods about 12:30 or whatever at night, and we walked past that patch, and you had to have, we had our lights on the ground because there was big rocks and everything. You don't want to slip and fall. Nothing. We come back the next morning, probably about 6:30 or 7, and we found these prints. They were human-like. They were smaller, but they had really long toes. But it had an arch, so we did cast those, and we have those. We actually showed those casts to Jeff Meldrum at a Ohio Bigfoot conference. He says, "Well," he
Nice.
goes, "this this uh this does look human. It's got an arch," and he says, "Elongated toes." He goes, "Do you mind if I take a picture of this?" He took a picture of them, and he said, "This is just to show, some of the different foot anatomy from people." Now, so the only thing I can think on that is that there may have been somebody. That's a horse trail. Maybe someone was on their horse barefoot and got off the horse. Maybe the horse got stuck in the mud and walked through the mud. Now, so you're talking, somebody is walking through these thick mud with these jagged rocks and everything. Uh, you know, that was dumb. But again, some people do dumb things. So, but going back to Jeff Meldrum, we actually, one of our mentors, Dr. Paul Johnson, he had a cast from his old group. It's probably the cast you've seen me and my wife holding. That cast that I'm holding, my wife's next to me. That's from Allegheny County. That's from '74, December 29th, '74. Actually, I know that one by heart. And it's a four-toed. And one of our friend John McDonald, who's in the group, he actually made a cast of that, an exact replica cast, and we gave it to Dr. Meldrum for his casting display.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question here for you, and this is concerning maybe more specific to like the Western PA, kind of Eastern Ohio region. But you mentioned the Shenango Valley werewolf. What other kind of cryptids that are specific to that area are you aware of?
Well, of course, we have the Bigfoot reports. We have it's not interesting, maybe kind of makes sense. We have I'm trying to think. You look at a map. We have Beaver Creek State Park. We have Raccoon Creek State Park, which I grew up. Maybe 16 miles from where I grew up. And then you have Tomlinson. It forms like a triangle in 3 states.
Oh boy.
And there's been a lot of Bigfoot reports just in those state parks. And we also have a up in Butler. It's nicknamed the Chicora gargoyle, and it looks like a gargoyle. It was seen by Dan Hagman's group, and or he got one of the initial reports in 2011. We got a report of a creature looking almost exactly like this, because the original eyewitness drew a drawing, and then this other person who I found, it's another long story, but well, I was able to find a drawing, and this was in Allentown, so it's about 70 miles from Allentown to Chicora, and might be more actually. I kind of, maybe it's 100, but that would be a straight shot too, mind you. But they were the same drawing almost, and just really creepy. This creature had like it almost looked like a helmeted head. It had wings, huge wings. It was a grayish, like 8.5, 9 foot tall creature. I'm trying to think. We've had dogman sightings, PA, Ohio, Shenango Valley, and Thunderbird sightings. But down here now, we've gotten a couple of Black Panther reports too. So again, what are some of these things? I don't know. Especially the dogman makes no sense. I mean, it's when we say, we're hunting dog. Oh, you're hunting werewolves now, Brian? I'm like, I didn't say they're werewolves. They
Yeah.
look like they look like
Yeah.
a holy. Okay. You take a wolf, take the biggest wolf you can, put them on 2 legs, upright, make them walk. That's what these things look like. I'm like, some people say this is just another form of a Bigfoot. I'm like, well, Bigfoot look more ape-like. These things look more canid-like. I says, and like even when I talk about it, I'm like, it's when I first heard about it through Linda Gottfried. I'm like, now there's werewolves out there. I said, you've got to be kidding. I mean, it's just like I don't know. You have little creatures. You have your puckwudgies. You have your
Oh
the
boy.
fey folk, the fairies. I mean, you got all kind of different things in these three states. I mean, it can be really crazy. Yeah.
Well, Puckwudgie, shout out to Lucy Bastille since that was mentioned.
Exactly. You know what? My friend Steve Ward. You know Steve Ward?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we know
we love
Steve.
Steve.
Yep.
He was on our paranormal game show that we did.
Oh, okay. Well, Steve Ward told me about Susie. Now we're friends, and she might be
Or
an interesting
Susie.
one.
I'm sorry. Why did I say Lucy?
Because you're a bad
That's
friend.
embarrassing.
You're a bad
Susie
friend.
Castile, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He would
Susie.
be
I'm
cool
sorry.
to
My
come
dog.
in and do a talk. That would be an interesting talk. It really would.
My dog is named Lucy, and she was right beside me, distracting me. That's why I said Lucy.
Yeah, Susie was
We had her on. Yeah.
Well, on our show, we talked about puckwudgies and the triangle. Can't remember what was the triangle. The black.
The
Bridgewater.
Connecticut Triangle.
Yeah,
Bridgewater. That's it.
Bridgewater Triangle and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, she's a good friend of the show. She just posted a picture.
Probably not anymore, but
our Facebook group. She ordered one of our shirts and was displaying it. So yeah, man. Yeah, we're kind of connected with a lot of the same people, and
yeah.
So I looked up this Butler gargoyle here, and now I'm really interested in.
Yeah, that's another thing that I can jump in my car and be there in an hour and a half and kind of research this. That might be
about the same time for me.
Might be a summer project for me. I've never heard of it until right now.
Yeah. I haven't either, but I used to live half an hour from Butler when I lived in Katanning. So
yeah.
Now is Tyler Hawk
reports too?
Yes, yeah, those I'm aware of. Also crackhead reports, but that's a separate issue. Is Tyler Huck? Is that the individual that initially cited the Butler gargoyle?
Not the very first sighting. Oh, Tyler Huck. He actually, I have a video of the creature he saw, and that was in Newcastle. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Outside of Newcastle, and I always tease people. I'm like, okay, here's the drawing. I said, and it looks like Count Chocula.
A little bit.
His head is like blue. I don't know if you ever saw the drawing.
I'm looking at the one of the renderings from his book.
Oh, okay. You know what? No. Okay, I'm thinking of okay, Tyler Huck. No, that's not him. No, it's a different person. But yeah, Tyler Huck does have a book out. I don't have that book, but yeah, no, this is a little bit different. Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's that we were able to learn about that. I'm gonna definitely research that. I wanted to talk about aliens and UFOs and stuff, but I mean, we're hitting that 58 minutes. We try to keep it at about an hour. Maybe we could have you on again and talk about.
My pleasure. This has been fun, guys. Really been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I always appreciate when people say that. I feel like I don't do a lot right, but I feel like I do this really well. So, and I always appreciate when a guest says that and is willing to come back. And
anytime you know how to get in touch with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. We'll get in touch and we'll set something up and we'll talk about some aliens and ufology in this cool little area that we live in. And we always give the guests the last moment to promote your stuff, talk about your Facebook groups, just remind them about your Center for the Unexplained and the Cryptozoological Studies.
Yeah, so we have just read the link right there, Center for Unexplained Events and Center for. We're both on Facebook. If you do have any sightings, Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, or the northern tip of West Virginia, just go on those groups, message us, or just message me. I'm Brian Seech on Facebook, and we'll get back to you. Sometimes it's not as quick as I want, but we try to get back with everybody. And if we take your sighting report, Your name's always confidential. We like to put the report out there, but we won't give exact specifics, and we definitely never use names. Because sometimes there are people out there that don't want to share any report at all, which I can see not wanting to share customer, people's names, or maybe exact, like, hey, Jim Jones's house or something. We don't do that, but that's trying to get the reports out of there, maybe even to validate their own report. So, and also this coming Saturday, May 4th, is the Northern West Virginia Panhandle Paranormal Conference, the first one, Brook Hills Park, and the Brook Hills Playhouse in Brook County, West Virginia.
Do you have any other conferences coming up over the next couple of months? You will be live on our network after June 3rd sometime. I think that's how far behind we are on recording. So
okay, yeah, just throw the link on. I'll definitely share it. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, what we'll do is I'll get the information for your conference that you're having,
Sure.
and I'll post that in our group and on my Facebook as well to kind of promote it, since the episode is gonna come up a couple of weeks after you have what I assume will be a successful and fun event.
We're hoping. Fingers crossed.
Right. All right, Brian. This was a pleasure. I
Great.
really appreciated it. Yeah,
thanks.
it's always great when you look up and it's already an hour, and it just blew by. It was a lot of fun. So everybody check out the Facebook groups, and keep in touch if you have anything that you'd like to report. It's a good community to reach out to. There's a lot of good guys, and what you're seeing here is they're all kind of interconnected. You mentioned Bill Rigby and Steve Ward, and these are people that I am learning even more so every day to put your trust into. So if you have anything you'd like to report, go ahead and do it. I feel like it's going to be a good choice for you. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to end the show. I'm going to hit the outro and thank everybody for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Good night. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
We're reaching the end. Can't just feel that groove. Thanks for tuning in. We're in the sky moon. From the start till now, we've been having a blast. So put on your dancing shoes. It's time to skate fast. We've got a request, a little favor to ask. If you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up and clap. Subscribe to our channel. Join the Sky Nation. We'll keep spreading the rhythm worldwide sensation. Thanks for tuning in. It means the world to us. Like and subscribe. Show your love and don't fuss. Check us out on YouTube. We're ready to roll. Skate with us forever. Straight to your soul.
He ran
Thanks.
away from us.
Thanks for squatching, everybody.
Watch you later.